And now I just want to take a couple of seconds, not quite the filibuster of Black Sunday, but a few minutes to talk about what we've done that is so exciting and how what we've done can move us forward to even more positive work for New York City. So let's think about it for a second. Suppose I told you or any other New Yorker that New York City had the opportunity to create thousands of new jobs, but we just weren't doing it. You'd probably be, pretty upset. Now suppose I went on to say that we've actually had that opportunity for years, but we just weren't paying close enough attention. I bet you'd have some choice words for me, the kind that you wouldn't use in polite company unless you were a member of the UFCW, and then you would use them all the time. Having gotten a few of them on my voicemails when things weren't going the way Pow wanted, I can attest to that. But they also send you nice thank yous too. So, all right, now suppose, after we've gone through that moment with them, I told you that by taking steps to create those jobs, we could also improve public health and reduce energy consumption. We could fight childhood obesity and asthma. We could keep millions of dollars in the local economy instead of sending those dollars across the country or around the world. But we still weren't doing it. Well, the fact is, we've been ignoring those exact opportunities in our 5 boroughs for a very long time. For years, we've been missing a chance to create a greener, healthier, and more economically vibrant city. How? By ignoring the enormous potential of our city's food system. Too often, we allow food issues to get pushed to the fringe of public policy. Maybe folks assume that the only goal, and it's a good goal, but that the only goal of food initiatives is to feed the hungry. Or they think that worrying about where your food comes from is a luxury that only wealthy people who eat organic can afford. But the truth is, each step in the food cycle, from the farm all the way to the table, has a major impact on the lives and the economic well-being of every single New Yorker. And each step has the potential to create jobs, to improve public health, and to preserve our shared environment. Or, if we continue to ignore these opportunities, the potential to cost us jobs, increase obesity, and further pollute our air. Here's an example. I was stunned by this. Outside of the United States military, all the branches together, New York City is the largest industrial buyer of food in the country. The Department of Education alone serves over 860,000 meals a day. But way too much of that money is spent outside of the city and outside of the state. Now, in the last few years, through the work of a lot of folks in this room, the Department of Education has started offering salad bars at many public schools. That's great, and we want to expand that. Right now, to stock these salad bars, we spend nearly $300,000 a year to buy over 500,000 pounds of romaine lettuce, and that's a good thing. But the lettuce we serve doesn't come from New York State. It comes from California or Maryland. Now, the problem isn't that we don't have romaine lettuce in New York State. We do. In fact, we've identified farmers in Orange County who are more than willing, would be thrilled, let me tell you, to provide that romaine lettuce to the Department of Education. The problem is, there isn't a facility in New York City where we can wash, cut, and bag that lettuce so that it can be served in the public schools. We have the product, we have the demand, and we're already spending the money. All we need to do is to bring that kind of wash, cut, bag facility to the 5 boroughs. And wouldn't that be a great way to use some of the empty manufacturing spaces we still have in our city? Doing this, reusing space this way, it'll create jobs in New York City because that lettuce doesn't wash, cut, and bag itself. It'll keep money in our area, and it'll prevent 500,000 pounds of food from being transported from the West Coast to the East Coast. Here's another example. 97% of the food that comes into the Hunts Point market is transported by truck. Only 3% comes in by rail. Now the city, to its credit, working with the state, has already committed to redeveloping and improving the Hunts Point market. But we need to make sure we really get it right. If we were simply to just double the amount of food coming in by rail, it would eliminate 58 million truck miles every year. Now, just so we understand that, 58 million miles. That's the equivalent of a single truck making 23,000 trips around the globe. Or think of it this way, eliminating those trucks would prevent 76,000 tons of carbon dioxide from being pumped into the air every year. How else could you get rid of that? Well, you could plant 29,000 acres of trees, and that would get rid of that amount of carbon dioxide. That's the size of 35 Central Parks. These are some of the reasons why we need to take a comprehensive look at our food system and find ways to make it stronger. For too long, we've taken a piecemeal approach to these issues without any kind of really long-term planning. Now, make no mistake, there's been a lot of great work done on food initiatives over the past few years. Work done by council members like Bill de Blasio, Leroy Comrie, Joel Rivera, and Eric Joya. Work done by Mayor Bloomberg, Borough President Scott Stringer, former Health Commissioner Tom Frieden, and Food Policy Coordinator Ben Thomases. I'm especially proud, though, of the work the City Council has done. Our food stamp data match with HRA has helped thousands of New Yorkers enroll for food stamps. We've restored millions of dollars to food pantries and Meals on Wheels. This year, we more than doubled the amount of food stamps that were used and spent at green markets. And working with our Economic Development Corporation and Councilmember Melissa Mark Viverito, we're constructing a brand new kitchen incubator at the city's La Marquetta building in East Harlem. This will help dozens of small food businesses create hundreds of new jobs. Each of these initiatives is stimulating our economy while helping people feed their families and access more nutritious food. But it wasn't until the FRESH program that we began to find a more forward way of thinking about food in our city, a more soup-to-nuts approach. As Bruce and Peggy mentioned earlier, the FRESH program grew out of our Supermarket Commission, which brought together government, industry, and labor with food advocates and community representatives, meaning, I hope, that all stakeholders and all perspectives had input and had, no pun intended, a seat at the table. That's a good food joke, get it? It's a little cold again.